May 29th, 2015. We're coming to you live from the studios of the Hagmann Hagmann Report here, based in Northwest Pennsylvania. I'm Doug Hagmann, at the helm with fellow investigator, researcher, and most importantly, my son, Joe Hagmann. Together, we are the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, America's premier father-son investigative reporting team. Our job is to bring you the news that propels the headlines, the news that is shaped and twisted amid a funhouse of smoke and mirrors in the carnival we call the corporate media. Now, we do the headline and news triage so you don't have to, and we want to thank all of our new listeners and veteran listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Thank you for intentionally listening to this program. We promise that we will leave you with more information at the end of the 3-hour period than you had when you came in. For all listeners, new listeners included, we broadcast Monday through Friday, 8 to 11 p.m. Eastern. Our home base on the internet is hagmannandhagmann.com, 2 N's, spell it all out, and we're simulcast by the Christians United Broadcasting Network there. You can tune us in at the hagmannandhagmannreport.com. Now, at hagmannandhagmann.com, you can access our social networking sites. We're on Facebook as the Hagmann Hagmann Report, and also individually. We have we're on Twitter, and of course you can download our app. Now, many things obviously we have completed officially. I think today was the official date of completion of move. So now, in certain things that we've had done. So we're really going to be hitting the written word and the spoken word pretty hard here in the days to follow. And there's so much important information to impart as well. A couple of things I do want to mention. I did bring our studio dog, to the studio to hang out with us during the program. So if you hear an occasional bark from perhaps a truck, passing by or whatever, hey, that just adds character. Or she might have something important to say. Who knows? She's pretty verbose when it comes to topics. Our studio dog is a social conservative. She's a Christian, and she angers easily at the moronic aspects of politics. So, having said that, who knows? Joe, it's been a wild day. I mean, it's been a rough week here, hasn't it? I mean,
it's been a long week. We today did a pre-recorded show with Sheila Zielinski.
Great show.
Yeah, it went really well. I'm not sure if it's going to air tonight or if it's going to air on another day, but I'm sure you can find the archive either way. And we've been in the studio working most of the day.
Yes, you've been studiously working. I've watched you, and
kind of, sort of.
Yeah, sort of. We've been playing solitaire there. No, it's great to see you in the studio, and it's we now have the space and the arm space. But by the way, let me mention we want to thank NatureBox. We love NatureBox really as a company. We love their products. We love the service they provide. Tonight's broadcast is sponsored by NatureBox. NatureBox ships very, very tasty and guilt-free snacks right to your door. They've got over 100 flavors to choose from. You can choose from the mini Belgian waffles, or the sweet and salty nut medley. So great. I mean, take your pick. You'll never get bored of snacking again. So try NatureBox for free. That's right, for free. Go to naturebox.com/CFP radio. That's naturebox.com/CFP radio. Alternatively, you can go to our website, scroll all the way down on the bottom there, and click on the link to NatureBox. You'll see it. Big box on the left there. And that takes you to our little world at NatureBox. And, hey, take advantage of the free trial. I guarantee you'll be hooked, as we are. We really appreciate them. We have them here at the studio. We also get them at our homes. And, hey, I'll tell you, it really, after the show, during the show, before the show, when we're working around the studio, it really it's really great, and we never have to go down to the 7-Eleven type convenience store for snacks. So anyway, we do have a lot of news to bring you. By the way, Joe and I were talking before the program. There is another free speech event taking place in Phoenix. It's starting right now, I believe, 8 o'clock Central or 8 o'clock Eastern Time. You remember what happened in Garland, Texas, with the Maud Muhammad cartoon? Well, we believe, ISIS sympathizers, the Muslims, had promised to launch an attack against this particular event as well. Now, regardless of what you think of the event, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you think that it's provocative and unnecessary, we understand. Or if you think it's, it doesn't matter. The fact is there is free speech here in this country. So we are monitoring with one eye we're monitoring that event, and we will bring you anything that happens. We know Alex Jones has, who is it? Joe Biggs, right?
I think so. I don't remember the name, but there's somebody there. Even the attendees were told to come armed.
In Phoenix now.
Yeah.
So we're going to be, like I said, if anything does happen, we'll let you know. And again, regardless of if you feel it's unnecessary and it's provocative, we get it. We understand that. However, this is America still. And there is freedom of speech still at this point. But, and we're going to throw the phone lines open early. What's your take on this, too? Because there's an aspect to this and other things we're going to be talking about where could this be? Could the unintended or even perhaps the intended consequence, could this facilitate or expedite some sort of restriction on speech? Do you know where I'm headed with that? In other words,
well, today, I don't know if you saw this. Let me find my notes here, or my news here. The president is going to be hosting a pride event at the White House next month. The Washington Blade reports that Obama will host the commemorating June as Pride Month. The LGBT receptions have been held at the White House since 2009 and are often used by leading right advocates to push the president on a range of issues. Obama recently joined the world of Twitter. They go through here. In one of his first tweets made, 5-day-old advocate of same-sex marriage says he last month called for an end to devastating gay cure therapies which aim to change the sexual orientation or gender identity of LGBT youths. Speaking on the International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia, President Obama said there is so much more we need to do, but vowed to keep fighting. Obama recently appointed a special envoy for LGBT rights and is heading to Uganda where homosexuality is illegal. So, as you have a free speech event, you have a pride event.
Interesting. I don't think any heterosexuals will be, attacking that event, Christian heterosexuals, although, given the opportunity, perhaps the news will report on that.
And then, I don't know if you saw this. I know this is something we've been talking about the last few days. Obama says this handful of senators standing in the way of Patriot Act. Blaming a handful of senators for stalled national security legislation, President Obama said Friday he told Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell and other senators that he expects them to take action swiftly to extend key Patriot Act provisions. Without action by midnight Sunday, a number of tools that permit law enforcement to pursue and investigate suspected terrorism will expire. Obama pinned responsibility directly on the Senate if something were to go awry.
Well, we'll see, and that's why I think this time period right now is extremely dangerous because, or any time after, if this would fall, if this portions of the Patriot Act, it's not the entirety of the Patriot Act that's going to fold. It's the I think three particular sections of the Patriot Act that are going to sunset as of the 31st of May at midnight. So
what they go on to say here is, I don't want us to be in a situation for a certain period of time. Those authorities go away and suddenly we are dark, he said, and heaven forbid we've got a problem where we could have prevented a terrorist attack or apprehended someone who is engaged in dangerous activity, but we don't simply because of inaction in the Senate. Among the provisions that would expire is the NSA's ability to search and amass American phone records. The most prominent critic of the legislation is Senator Rand Paul, a Republican from Kentucky, a GOP presidential contender. And that is also a headline of another article. NSA says it will keep phone data,
right,
even if surveillance program ends.
Well, yeah. Regardless of what the laws, what the legislation is, you can bet that what has already been started, the infrastructure that has created, the processes that are working will continue to work regardless of whatever happens. And it's only going to get exponentially worse and more invasive. Now, it kind of a segue to this as well. Alex Jones, well, Wayne Madsen and Alex Jones, a big story there that they were talking about. I don't know how many people saw this, of course. Former House Speaker Dennis Hastert, blackmail sex scandal. Have you seen this, ladies and gentlemen?
It was on the front of Drudge yesterday, I believe. Okay.
Well, yesterday we had, obviously, with Steve Coyle and John Price. Yeah, we didn't cover a lot of current news, but this is something. Now, according to and this, got to give a lot of credit to Wayne Madsen. Got to give a lot of credit to Alex Jones. They ran with this 10 years ago, roughly, or 9 years ago. In case you haven't heard about this, just to give you kind of a thumbnail sketch, former U.S. House Speaker Dennis Hastert. Now, he's from Illinois, a Republican. He was indicted in Chicago on May 28th, it'd be yesterday, for lying to FBI agents about his cash withdrawals from his various bank accounts. Now, Hastert withdrew the money, according to the complaints, beginning in 2010, for the purpose of paying bribes or blackmail. Okay, he was being blackmailed over prior misconduct. What was that misconduct?
It was some sort of sexual misconduct.
Right, and it was homosexual misconduct, reportedly. Okay, now, the information we have, in addition to what Alex, and you can read about this on InfoWars, I certainly would recommend you do so. You can read about this at Wayne Madsen Report. I suggest you do so. The information we have in addition to this, and we heard some of Alex Jones' show earlier today. We heard Wayne Madsen talking about this, but in addition to this, what the information we have from a source inside the Beltway is there will be additional, or there are additional current sitting lawmakers who are being blackmailed and will be exposed, or there's a threat there to expose them.
Well, this is how I believe the Congress and the Senate, how they're controlled so easily. You get people in there with things that they want to keep hidden, and you have these people who have the secrets that they want hidden.
Yep.
And if they don't go along with an agenda, well, they'll be exposed, they'll be indicted, whether true or untrue. And this is how they amass the control over these people and get them to, one way, aside from money, to get them to vote the ways they want them to.
Well, think about the Supreme Court in Obamacare. What happened there with that swing vote, that sudden 180 by the Supreme Court justice. Oh, my goodness, so smart, so intelligent. Well, there was a lot of talk then at that time that something was hanging over his head. Well, look at this situation. Now, Hastert got pinched for structuring or making withdrawals that in order to avoid the $10,000 reporting requirement. This is my understanding based on reading the summary of the indictment. But the indictment states that individual A, this a person had something to do with Hastard's coaching years when he was a coach in Yorkville High School outside of Chicago. And this goes back, I mean, this goes back, what, to 1965? To his conduct from 1965 to 1981. This is how far back this goes. And now this is just coming out right now. This, and as Alex Jones and Wayne Madsen said too, there's something that smells about this, the timing of this, and they ask the question, will there be more? Well, yes, there will be more. There are more. Now, it depends, of course. The exposure is going to depend on whether those people who are being subject to blackmail will, in fact, acquiesce, go along with the blackmail, or or do something stupid like this, like the structuring, get caught structuring.
I mean, that's $3.5 million is a lot of blackmail money.
Yeah, of course. But now Hastert was charged with one count of structuring currency transaction. What that means is withdrawing cash in increments just under $10,000 to avoid the mandatory federal currency transaction reporting requirements. And then one count of making a false statement to the FBI. Hastert began paying the blackmail from June 2010 to April 2012, and you've got to ask yourself, he's been out of office, not for how long? Since 2007, right? Now he's being blackmailed. There is something extremely wrong about this. They're off about this. This is, in my view, knowing what we know here, in my view, this was to send a message as well to certain sitting House members and senators. I truly believe that. And I think that we're going to see more of this. This, by the way, goes all the way up to the White House, Hastert's situation. But what we're dealing with right now goes all the way up to the White House, including, and you remember hearing Maria Pope talk about Obama and his exploits, before he became a senator and before he got into politics. So there is a lot of blackmail to go around, a lot of perversion, sexual perversion within government. You knew this, folks. You know this. I mean, this comes as no surprise to you. But the fact that this is coming to surface right now, and Hastert is, despite being out of government since 2007, I've got to tell you, this is sending a message to certain individuals who are involved in this kind of perverse activity, and of course, allegedly. I mean, there's everything we're saying here with respect to his conduct is alleged and reportedly. We have to qualify our statements because there's been no charges made, or no conviction. I'm sorry, no conviction. So watch this very closely. We're seeing the end game play out here of the ruining of people through blackmail, and I think some of the triggers are being pulled right now to take some people out, at least to. When I say take them out, I'm not talking about physically, taking them out. I'm talking about ruining their reputation and embarrassment and making them ineffective or hitting their effectiveness in terms of their reputations and their careers. So this is what's at play right now, and it's all throughout Washington. But there's an organized approach to this, and it's intended, I believe this is intended to get some certain lawmakers to comply with certain things. And the other thing too, the other word I have, and Joe, I think you would agree with this as well. This is unconfirmed, but this is offered to me earlier today. This is international in scope. In other words, some of this is coming not just from within, but from outside of the country. Just think about that for a moment.
All right.
So, anyway, there you have it. Joe, go ahead.
Well, in other news, we have today the president, FCC. Oh, goodness. Here comes the pop-up ads. FCC
pop-ups, right? You got
to propose giving free internet access to the poor, and we've talked about this. We talked about the steps from the free Obama phones to the next step being the internet. Well, here comes the article. This is from The Blaze. The head of the Federal Communication Commission is proposing that the government agency expand a phone subsidy program for the poor to include internet access. FCC Chairman Tom Wheeler has emphasized that internet access is a critical component of modern life, key education, communication, and finding and keeping a job. While net neutrality rules released earlier this year, the agency redefined broadband as a public utility like a telephone, giving it stricter oversight on how online content gets to customers. That triggered lawsuits from internet service providers. The proposal Thursday to expand the Lifeline phone program to internet service aims to narrow the digital divide, those with access to the internet and the other modern technologies, and those without. It goes on to say, cite a Pew Research Center report from 2013 that 70% of U.S. adults had high-speed internet connection at home. Only 54% of households earning less than $30,000 a year do. The FCC says low-income Americans are more likely to rely on smartphones for internet access. 67% of households make less than $30,000 a year at home and have broadband or a smartphone. Lifeline was started in 1985 to include wireless telephones in 2005. The FCC proposal calls for extending Lifelines to $9.25 monthly credit to give low-income households a choice of phone or internet access via a wire to the home or smartphone.
How do you feel about that? I mean, seriously, it's a natural progression, is it not, of the reclassification of the internet? What is the intent? I mean, we're here it goes, and we're seeing the entire process. In this case, with the internet, the entire process just being pushed down our throats. The process of the making it into a public utility, and it's not for the public good. None of this is for the public good ultimately, even though they say it's not. And what's it going to do? What kind of effect is it going to have? It's going to have the opposite effect when you look deeper at this. The title of tonight's program is the global governance, and a couple of things we want to talk about too. We were talking about this earlier in the week, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Well, also what we didn't mention, and I'll give credit to William F. Jasper, and again, he was on the Alex Jones show today as well, from the New American. One thing that we didn't touch on that we should have touched on is the Transatlantic Trade and Invest Partnership, which is part of the TPP. It's intertwined with the TPP. Okay, it's called the TTIP. So there's really two, but the big daddy in the umbrella is the Trans-Pacific Partnership. We really want to underscore the importance of the destruction that will be caused by this Trans-Pacific Partnership and the lack of constitutionality behind the TPP and how it's being handled and the secrecy. We really want to drive this home, and we need for everyone to understand what's at stake. And what's at stake here, ultimately, is the destruction of the United States of America. It's wiping out the middle class. It's wiping out our borders. It's killing our will kill our sovereignty. And it's interesting too. And I'm going to point this out, and then Joe, feel free to chime in. But I just find it very interesting. The bed partners that are being formed by the opposition to the TPP. When I find myself agreeing, for instance, with people like I don't know, Maxine Waters. I mean, really, okay, that's interesting. As an example, so I'll just say this: that we've got a real issue here with this. We really need to expose every single aspect of the TPP. Everyone needs to understand the importance of it. I am in the process, and I want to thank Maria Canese, the author of Prepare for Persecution as well, keeping me on my toes. I'm in the process of writing some reports about the TPP, exposés, putting some things together. So thank you for Maria for that, but for kind of keeping me on my toes with respect to that. So that's going to be coming out here very soon. But the bottom line with this, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, this is the other side of the hemisphere, if you will. What the TPP does for the Pacific, this is doing for the Atlantic. I suppose that's the easiest way to describe it. It's a free trade agreement. Again, it has nothing to do with free trade, or very little to do with it. It's between the European Union and the United States. And, of course, the stated goal here is that this agreement, or the stated, what people are saying is going to happen is, well, it's going to expand economic growth multilaterally. Okay? Wrong again. The American government, the American government says one thing, but the truth is something totally different. The other governments involved aren't saying anything, or if they are, it's going along with the U.S. government. But here it is, the TTIP. It's the companion agreement, and we were remiss in not mentioning this, but it's kind of it should be a given. However, the TTIP is a companion agreement to the TTP, or the TPP. That is. I'm sorry. All these acronyms. My goodness, all these abbreviations, I should say. But the contents of this, there were some documents that were released by the European Commission back a year and a half, July 2014, July of last year, about broader rules and principles and modes of cooperation between the countries, between the areas. If you notice the language in this, and with both the TPP and the TTIP, you're looking at the language stating you've got these, not the United States of America, for example. We're not referred to as America or the United States of America. No, we're referred to as North America, or the Union, North American Union, which of course, everyone says, well, that's just a myth, that's just a conspiracy theory. North American Union doesn't exist, it never was. It was hyped up, blown up by conspiracy theorists. Well, here it is in black and white, shall we say. You just can't see it, but it's there. We have to really expose this for what it is, and that's an assault on our sovereignty. And William Jasper from the New American has written extensively about this, and I would recommend, if anyone wants the real gritty, nitty-gritty, to read William Jasper's reports on the TPP as well as the TTIP. It's a New American. My goodness, it's the same thing that we said, everything that we've said, but it gets into more documentation with respect to various committees, various people. But you get the idea, and it gets into the Canada, Mexico, the agreements there, and anyway, so that's that. The sovereignty, our sovereignty and our liberty is at stake here, folks. We cannot let this go. We cannot let this go through. We have to expose it, and even if we have to be on the same side as people in the lake, and as I use this as an example, Maxine Waters or whoever it might be, hey, so be it. The truth is the truth, regardless of the bed partners or and I use that. You know what I mean, regardless of the allies here. So, Joe, the other thing too, and you had mentioned this too, because you were following some research on the labeling of food and the, for example, the food labeling. Where does your beef come from? Well, you want to know where it comes from, don't you? I mean, you want to know if you're eating American food or Canadian or American beef or Canadian beef, or where, what country of origin is your food. This will, this will ultimately affect that. And it amazes me that other countries would have such such an influence over American policy because of this treaty, because of what's going on. So, what a mess this is.
Yeah, and we do want to open the phones. I don't know how you want to do this, Dad.
Well,
we have a few callers on now. We're going to open the phone, 661-244-9839. We want to talk about anything from our show last night. Anybody have comments they want to share on air? We know we got a lot of emails. And anything that anything in the news today or anything that is of importance to any of the callers out there. 661-244-9839, 661-244-9839. This article from yesterday, emergency powers give Barack Obama authority over just about everything during a major national crisis. Presidents have always exercised emergency powers, but now thanks to dozens of new laws, regulations, court decisions, and executive orders, Barack Obama is the most powerful president in all of U.S. history. Of course, the U.S. Constitution does not actually give any president special powers during the time of a national emergency, but over the time, presidents have decided that they should be able to exercise such powers, and the courts have generally agreed with them. And this, I'm not going to read this a whole article because it's very long. It's a write-up by Michael Snyder, but it talks about what is a catastrophic emergency. And it means that any incident, regardless of location, that results in extraordinary levels of mass casualties, damage, or disruption severely affecting the U.S. population, infrastructure, environment, economy, or government functions. And he says, that sounds quite broad to me. It could apply to all sorts of scenarios. And that's correct. But it goes on to list different documents and different parts of these documents that give the president certain authorities. And in separate news, we mentioned this the other day about the EPA and the waterways. And I got to find it. Here it is. Obama administration's new EPA rules expand control over all waterways. In a White House statement released on the 26th of May, the president stated, I called on the Environmental Protection Agency and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to clear up the confusion and uphold our basic duty to protect these vital water resources. Obama went on to explain that the two federal bodies will provide business and industry with clarity and certainty and need to determine which waters are protected by the Clean Water Act to ensure pollutants can be held accountable. During a press gaggle the next day aboard Air Force One, the press Darlene Superville asked Deputy Press Secretary Eric Schultz about the EPA new water rules, and noting that the House has already passed a bill to block those rules from taking effect and that the Senate is considering to do the same, asked would the president veto if it cleared Congress. Schultz replied, Darley, I'm not going to speculate on legislation that isn't entirely clear that will pass. What I can say is that we believe the rule today is a win-win for both the economy and public health. The rule that will protect streams and wetlands and form the foundation of our nation's water resources. They feed the rivers, lakes, bays, and coastal waters that our health and economy depend on. It also goes on to say that in this Clean Water Act that it will protect or take control over all navigatable waterways, tributaries, riverbanks, puddles, streams, large ponds. Or large puddles.
Yeah. I mean, you had. I can't remember which show.
That was earlier today.
Earlier, okay. And folks, if our voices sound rather strained, they are. We've been doing a lot of radio the last couple of days, and it's just. I think it's finally caught up to us, and so if we sound a little bit off, we probably are.
Yes,
so,
I feel good, but my voice is like hoarse.
Yeah, yeah. And so, hey, folks, you can do the heavy lifting for us. By joining the program at 661-244-9839. Love to hear from first-time callers. If you haven't called in before, boy, I would urge you to do so. This is your chance now. A little programming note as well. Dave Hodges will be on our show on Monday. We're going to be talking a lot about Jade Helm, about what he found out about Jade Helm, what he's finding out about the things going on behind the scenes, continually, and what we need to be paying attention to there. And I'll be on Dave Hodges' show, The Common Sense Show, on Sunday night as it airs at a new time. That's 8 o'clock Eastern on Sunday, 5 o'clock Pacific on Sunday, new time for the Common Sense Show. So, yeah, help us out. Do some heavy lifting or do some of the lifting. 661-244-9839.
Let's go to the phone.
Yeah, let's do that now.
We do have a number of callers on hold. We're going to go to area code 218 first. 218, we're coming to you now. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
I'm here.
Hey.
Hey, guys. It's Laurel from Minnesota.
Laurel from Minnesota.
I had a couple of things. They may be not quite off topic. I've been trying to call in. I wanted to give you guys an update about the avian flu up here in Minnesota.
Please. Yes.
Okay, there's at least 10 million birds that have been destroyed. Now, they have tested thousands of wildfowl. That's what they're claiming it's being spread by. None of the wild birds have tested positive. I saw a Facebook post from a lady that's in one of my kind of chicken groups, and she said that they had come home from church, and there was a notice on their door that some inspectors had come by and wanted to look at their chickens. Now, they're small chicken raisers like me, got a backyard flock. And she kind of said, has anybody else had this? What would I do? Well, of course, I told her, if they showed up at my door, they'd be seeing me with my pump shotgun and tell them to get off the property. They're trespassing, and don't dare them go near my birds because they're probably contaminating them, if it's even real. Most of the people I've talked to up here, we don't feel it's real. And they're doing it purposely, you know why, to destroy another food source. I went to the local grocery store this last week. I looked at a normal size, something you might get for 4, 5, 6 people, turkey. It was $35.
For turkey?
For a turkey. They say you're not going to be able to afford them because Minnesota is the largest turkey producer in the country. Now, my friend, who will go nameless, that works for the forestry department up here, she also raises, she's the one that does all the organic livestock and farming. She told me from a reliable source, guess what they're doing with the dead birds?
Hopefully burning the carcasses.
Well,
no, wrong, close. They are cutting them up, cooking them, and feeding them to live birds.
That makes no sense.
Okay.
Does that make a lot of sense to you guys?
No.
It doesn't to me, if they are sick. I'm not quite, I think they've had some, but I'm just not sure how it's getting spread. But I'm going to tell anybody that would show up at my place, which if they can find it, good luck, no, you're not going close to them because I believe you're going to contaminate them. They're healthy. They're fine,
To tell us again how many birds up there were destroyed?
At least about 10 million so far. And that's just Minnesota. Now it's supposedly spread to Iowa, I believe, and I don't want to misstate, but maybe Nebraska, but Iowa's being hit now too. And guess what else they have done? Now there are no more, the 4-H can't show poultry at like the livestock shows or anything. And also they've cut off any swap meets, and that's where I've got a lot of my baby chickens and some of my chickens from. We can't have swap meets anymore, so they're limiting the way we can share birds.
Okay.
And
well,
that
would make sense.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, most of these, most of them are people like me, and you don't bring in unhealthy birds, but but at the same time, it's cutting off a way to get birds. And so I also do mail orders. So I called the one supplier that I use, and they're out of, I think, Connecticut or Ohio, I can't remember. But I asked, have you guys been hit with any type of, limitations? Can you ship birds? And they said not of yet, but they're watching for that. So I just wanted to share that with you guys that, this is, I think, just something else to, take away another protein meat source from us.
It's interesting because you're making a case for long-term storable food, like, for example, freeze-dried turkey and poultry, whatever, chicken, turkey. Think about that, and think about how that's going to affect the long-term storable food supply.
Or like if you have the means, start raising some meat and egg birds, laying birds, and have them. I'm hoping to do about 30 birds myself, meat birds, and my friend, we're going to have them processed and freeze them. So if you can do that, that's the other option. Assuming we still have power, but that's a whole other issue. But I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. That's what. Oh, and with the flooding, I also want to talk about some of the flooding stuff. God bless my home state of Texas and my friends down in Houston in that area. I've been through some floods like that, and it is unreal. But I just also wanted to share up here in Minnesota, I think we had 2 inches of rain in one day, and the Mississippi River's already going over its crest.
My.
And we've got under a flash flood warning for my county right now.
Okay.
So it's,
wow.
It's happening everywhere. It's just. But the main reason I called in today really was to ask you guys. I read some of Steve Quayle's alerts today. I don't know if you guys have seen them regarding possible reason. Well, some of them are tying in the forced evacuations in the Houston area, especially in in Texas. And the military's exercise where somebody had a source that said that what they're planning on doing is coming in and, trying to check out who's hoarding food, who's got guns and stuff like that. And I think in Texas, a couple people reported that these guys showed up associated with Reliant Energy, which is one of the electric companies there, saying that they were here to do a home inspection to see if they were wasting energy, and all dressed in these cute little, uniforms, but could show no ID. But that's what they're saying is that's probably the way they're coming in to look at your house to see if you're a, quote, food hoarder, unquote.
Yeah, and Steve and I had talked about this off air. The information that he had received from others, and you're exactly right. And I'm glad you brought that up because and I've got this independently as well. They're going now. You're making reference to a particular part of the country. The information I have is that this is happening in various parts of the country. It's a beta test actually. Anything over 7 days supply of food, for example, you are considered hoarding food, and they are doing this as a kind of a test run, if you will. So you're correct in this. We have heard about it and talked to Steve about it, and the information has been authenticated. And you're correct under the pretext of, for example, an energy assessment. And
do you see how this fits in with Jade Helm and infiltrating, and looking like part of the population?
Well, yes. I mean, it's all connected. Yes.
So.
Yep.
And then felons will not be, we're all supposed to go on food rations, and gasoline would be rationed depending on need, and then felons aren't going to get any food at all.
Well, that's yeah.
I mean, that's from one of the quotes, or one of the sources. Let's put it that way. But it's then it ties into maybe a question for Stan Dale. I listened to his show, and I still feel that this weather. And again, I've lived through 9 inches of rain in a day in Houston, and I've seen the interstates flood before because, I don't know, most people don't know, but parts of the interstates there are actually built below the ground level.
Yeah.
So that's why they flood, because, that's where the water's going to go. And but at the same time, I talked to a friend last night, and he said it's probably rained 12 or 14 days out of the last 10 to 12 days out of the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
Just constant. They just keep getting hit and hit and hit. And it's not just Houston. You know, it's Dallas, you know, Austin, you know, the entire, I'd say, southeast part of, you know, from the Balcones fault zone is getting hit really hard.
Yeah,
and
a lot of people.
Guess what? I mean, and then it gets into that thought of now they're having mandatory evacuations, you know, so that it makes it easier for the military to go in and check your house as a food hoarder, you know, as nobody's there to say stay away. You know, I mean, it's just all kind of, I don't know, you know, maybe I'm snowballing this whole thing, but it just seems like it's a good
I don't
way
think
to
so. I mean, look at Katrina and look at the lessons learned by the government from Katrina. And when I say lessons learned, I'm referencing tweaking the operational tactics. Yeah. So you know, we have to consider all possibilities, and anyone who would assail that, you know, or say that that's overstating your case, I would have to say, now wait a minute, you know, history tells us differently. So I think you're right on the money with this.
And
wow.
I think what we're doing is alerting enough people, because, again, one last thing, and it's kind of a sidebar. I was reading the post about Disney's new film, Tomorrowland, and one of the comments was they were somewhat, not shocked, but I couldn't think of the right word, but more people were walking out going, God, was there a lot of Illuminati, you know, stuff in there. So a lot of people in the audience weren't buying the whole thing for the wonderful story about how we're going to save this planet, you know. So.
Wow. Well, now I'm going to have to look that film up. I'm not up on the current.
It's supposedly they got, and the thing that one of them brought up is there's 58 days until the end of the world, and that kind of ties right exactly into, by somebody's calculation, July 15th. From the time the movie came out or something like that. I don't know, you know. I mean, again, you know, maybe we're all grasping at straws or trying to knit something together that shouldn't be knitted, but I don't know. But I think as long as we get the information out, everybody can decide for themselves.
There you go.
And what do you want to believe?
Yeah. You know, people like yourself and our listeners are intelligent enough. They get the information. They know, you know, I mean, you can process it. And I'll tell you, we've gotten some fantastic emails of listener assessments. And looking at the emails, I'm thinking, my goodness, what great, intelligent people that we have listening to this program who are saying, well, you know, it looks like this, or have you considered this or that? And so indeed, you know, so all of the information you provided is very valuable.
Because none of us have the right answer. You know, there's the truth out there.
That's right.
And we're just all, like I said, I think I've said before, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. We all have some of the pieces. We have to come together and put it all together.
Indeed.
Absolutely.
You know, and one other thing that came to mind, I've been trying to get on a long time. Some caller the other night asked you to get that Wolfgang, and I cannot remember the last name of that gentleman that did all the Sandy Hook.
Yes, I wrote that down.
If you talk to John B. Welch, he's had him on several times.
Okay.
And in fact, one of his shows was we listened to the hearing. So John B.'s been, having him on quite a bit, so you might talk to him about it, or go if you're a member of Caravan to Midnight or whatever. He was just on, I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago or something like that.
You know, in fact,
so
I'll give John a call this weekend, and hopefully we can hook up, and I'll ask him about him. I've got the notes in my office, not here.
So I just
that.
wanted to share that somebody is, you know, and he's had him on a couple times. In fact, he said, come back, you know, and he just let him talk about the hearing. One last thing, karma sends her love.
You know
Did
what?
Did you get her latest picture?
When you say latest, how late or how
for her birthday? April?
Yes. I have that. Now, you know something? I owe you a book.
Yes.
Where's my note, Joe?
I'm supposed to send Joe an email, and I have not gotten around to it. It's the 40 things before you die, or 40 things.
Right.
Before
Okay.
Okay. Can you would you do me a favor? Would you send would you go to our website, contact us form, and give us your send us your postal address so I can get that out to you, because I do have a note, and you know, for you know how when you move everything, it's here somewhere. It's here somewhere.
That's all I've been doing the last 5 years is moving.
Oh, man. Well, thank you for your patience, and what a sweet karma is just sweet. I have a picture that you sent me. I did cut it out and put it on our board. We brought our board with us of listener animals, and karma's up there, so we appreciate that.
When I come down my gravel road, my dogs must hear my car or something, or sense I'm coming, and they meet me about a quarter mile from the house.
Oh, isn't that great?
And I clocked her, because I have to speed off because they want to follow. I clocked her at over 20 miles an hour steady.
I got to tell you, I took Lady, our studio dog. She's an Australian cattle dog or part cattle dog, part Australian Shepherd. I have never seen a dog run so fast in all my life. I mean, she is like a cheetah or a puma or something.
Exactly. Karma doesn't quite look. She looks like a big teddy bear or something. But she's smart enough. She sees me backing up and pulling out. Well, she heads out to the pasture. She meets me. She's already on her head start.
That's wonderful.
But anyway, thank you guys for letting me on, and God bless you. And let's stay safe. And like I said, I just wanted to share that information. So you guys take care. Enjoy your weekend.
It's going to be a working one, but thank you so much.
Well, I know. Me too. I'm putting in my straw bale garden. So anyway, take care.
God bless. All right.
Thanks for the call.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
And Joe, let me reach. Okay, I'm going to do this reach here, see if I can not unplug things as I reach over here to grab my...
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Okay, there we go.
Let's grab another caller before the top of the hour. Let's go to area code 303. 303, we're coming to you now. Live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Hi, guys. This is Stacy from Colorado. My husband and I are long-time listeners, but first-time caller.
Well, good to hear from you.
Oh, thank you. I have a couple of questions and a comment. Charlie Challenge. I've seen this on L.A. Marzulli's page yesterday, and he said he would not open the video. So that I thought, okay, if he won't open it, it's probably really bad.
Wait a minute. No, say that again. I'm not sure I heard that.
It's a video that's gone around, that's gone viral with the kids, and it's almost like a homemade Ouija.
Yes, a Charlie something.
Yeah, and Charlie Challenge.
Yep.
And these kids are summoning demons, and it's gone viral. And I've seen it on L.A. Marzulli's page, and he said he would not open the video and watch it because it's dealing with the actual occult.
Yeah.
And he's warning about it, and these kids are doing this, and it's just gone viral. I'm like, what are they thinking? And then the other thing is, have you guys ever had Mike from Around the World, or did you hear his interview with Paul Begley?
He hasn't called in a while, and we didn't.
No, I haven't heard it. What did he have to say?
Well, it was about CERN, and so I kind of start in the antimatter, the dark matter. So it caught my attention, and it was about an hour long. What caught me in there was that even Stephen Hawking is already starting to believe that there's some type of creator because it's too precise what has come out of that can come out of an explosion. But they're opening. He said they're going to open or run the CERN thing in September, as well as everything else that's going on.
From what I hear, they've been running it.
Yeah, Joe, you were the one that did the research on this.
Episode from Pastor Begley today?
No, I'm not sure when. I think it was back in April or May. I just came across it the other day.
Okay.
It's newer, but it was really interesting, and I mean, it was really eye-opening as to what it is and how it's demonic, and they use it to create chaos in, where he said where they had it before in a college, it was causing like a lot of anger and problems in the school, so they moved it. But they can use it for like chaos, say like what's been happening in Ferguson or in Baltimore, creating riots and anger and things that you wouldn't really.
Interesting you say that, because I was talking with somebody I'm developing. Well, we're both kind of developing a trust between us and this individual with the Department of Homeland Security, another potential source, who is saying that in Ferguson there was a time, a very limited period of time, where they were using acoustic weapons or acoustic devices that not the local law enforcement, but the federal law enforcement that was there, that no one saw or no one knew was there, were using acoustic weapons to incite violence, agitate the crowd.
And they have those non-lethal weapons.
Subsonically, or without, non-lethal, but sound waves, but inaudible to the human ear. Okay.
Yes. And
now you
I
say
had
this.
just seen something on that with another pastor that I came across. I've been listening to you guys, and Steve Quellen talk about eye-opening. I hate to say this, but a couple of years ago I probably wouldn't have listened and didn't know. And I came across your show one night and started listening, and so I started talking to my husband, and we're like, oh, wow. Eyes are opened.
Hey, Stacey, a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have listened to myself either. I got to tell you, my goodness, with all of the information out there. I mean, sometimes it's difficult for me to even grasp the magnitude of what we're dealing with. I mean, don't you feel that way? I mean,
yeah, because there's too much for it just to be a coincidence, and you think, oh, the government wouldn't do that to it. Oh, yes, they would. And you're starting to see it, and it's on this pastor, and I'll email you the link. He was talking about ex-government, somebody that had sent him some information where they've created something along the lines of being able to target race-specific bioweapon or some kind of weapon that you can't see. I don't remember what he said, but kind of like what you're talking about, where it can actually target you to be angry, cause chaos, and I just find it odd that they're using it in these areas. Yeah,
it's they're well, I shouldn't say testing. They're using these weapons, at least the information I have, very selectively, and they're doing this for cause, which kind of makes or puts Ferguson in context in a way, or other places in context. Why didn't it go into a full-blown? Why didn't it grow more and get bigger? Well, maybe this was a staging ground. Maybe this is like I'm trying to think of a sports metaphor to use. This is kind of a scrimmage, and they're putting all the pieces together. So you're it's very interesting. Okay, and the information is lining up.
And then what he said with the Mike from around the world, and how he said that they have gone and done that, and they've already kind of tested some of this stuff, and then you have Stephen Hawking begging them to stop using this, which is kind of odd for him being such a scientist. And
well, you have Bill Gates.
No such thing as God.
You have Bill Gates, Stephen Hawking, some of the most powerful, influential people saying that artificial intelligence could be the death of humanity. and it's one of the most dangerous things facing humanity.
But in terms of, in terms of CERN opening up these portals, and it took me a while to really understand, number one, and then believe, number two, in the possibility of interdimensional portals. I mean, it's not something you would routinely think about or certainly talk about. But yeah, for Stephen Hawking, who is, although he's intelligent, he certainly is not as intelligent. When he denies the existence of God, I don't care how intelligent you are, that's pretty stupid to me. But now changing his mind, saying, "Hey, wait a minute, because of what I'm seeing, perhaps there is a higher deity." Well, okay, is that what it takes? Perhaps so, and that's great. But you get Hawking worried. Yeah, I suppose I'd be a little concerned.
That's what really caught me, because with a Big Bang, okay, it's just an explosion. You don't get exact, precise, like we are. We're made too precise. There's just too much things that are exact and precise about God's creation, that it didn't just come, put together from some explosion the way it has. I mean, fish, animals, all life on Earth is too precise for it to be just created from some big explosion.
That's right.
And so for him to say that, kind of, that's why I was wondering if you had heard the interview, because it's really eye-opening.
Going to find it.
Interesting anyways.
You're definitely going to grab it. All right.
Charlie, people, please tell your kids, don't listen, don't watch the videos, and don't participate.
Absolutely.
And that's all.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Stacy. Thank you and your husband for listening. God bless you, and thanks for hanging in there with us and being part of our extended family. We really appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely. We love it, and God bless you.
All right.
God bless you, too.
Thank you. Okay, good night.
All right, we are up against the top of the hour break. We are going to take that now. You're listening to the Hagmann Hagmann Report, excuse me, on this Friday, May 29th, 2015. We'll be right back after the... You can call us at 661-244-9839. That's 661-244-9839. And if you get that far, press 1, and it'll let us know that you want to talk to us as we get an indicator from people who are on hold that want to talk to us versus those who call in to listen.
Yeah, and we do have people that do call in just to listen to the program, but definitely press 1 even though you're not prompted to do so. I want to mention the next time we come back on regular programming is going to be June 1st, so I find that interesting in terms of where it may go. It's incredibly, time is just, it seems like it's accelerating, and Stan talked about that as well. Before we move on, I do want to mention that we're going to be doing some website work this weekend, and we're going to try attempting to rectify and make it a lot easier to listen right up to archive programs right off of our web page on past shows, is stuck on I think May 5th. Having said that, the next time you visit that page, perhaps it'll have kind of like Rick Wiles has a specific player built into the pages. We hope to have that accomplished and up and running here. It's just taking a little bit longer than we anticipated. So there you have it. Just want to mention that. Go ahead, Joe.
Quick headline before we go back to the calls, as we talked about at the top of the hour about this Phoenix event, this free speech event in Phoenix. Latest updates from Raleigh. If you look at the front of Drudge, there is a headline that's echoed in an article written, and the headline is Islamists promise blood at Phoenix Dra Muhammad contest. And the article goes on to say a former U.S. Marine has organized the Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest in Phoenix, similar to the one held earlier in Garland, Texas, where two ISIS sympathizers opened fire before being shot and killed. The event is being held Friday evening outside of Phoenix Worship Center. A former Marine and anti-Islam supporter has organized this freedom of speech rally and a Prophet Muhammad cartoon contest outside the Islamic Community Center in Phoenix. The rally is described to be peaceful, but the Facebook event does encourage supporters to bring guns in anticipation of any backlash. Several law enforcement agencies have met to discuss safety proceedings, along with the Council on American Islamic Relations Phoenix chapter. A similar cartoon event was held in Texas earlier in this month when two men, both from Phoenix, believed to be ISIS sympathizers, opened fire outside an event before being shot and killed by police. This rally is planned in response to the Texas incident, according to the Facebook event story. And from a listener who lives in near Phoenix, she says crowds of Muslims are already gathering right now, and armed bikers are protecting the participants.
Yes. Now the police had set up the security cameras. I think yesterday, earlier today as well. We're monitoring the Twitter feed from on site there. Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I'm just looking at some of the images. I'm looking at some of the comments. The only thing I can say is you talk about really drawing out. I am in total favor of free speech. I'm in total favor of having let them do this. I have no problem with this, but I can see this being used after the fact as perhaps a method or a reason, as if they need a reason, as a reason to curtail free speech.
So that's like, having a gay pride parade, as the president is, we read earlier that he's going to be hosting this year. And that's like somebody on the right side going and creating an act of violence. Does that, mitigate the freedom of speech that they were trying to gather for at that rally? I mean, it's a double standard, obviously.
Right.
But I don't see that happening. I don't see anybody who would commit an act of violence against.
Well, we'll see. I mean, this
is not a Christian. It would not be somebody in their right mind.
But I think an argument can be made, an intellectual argument can be made that Islam is predisposed. Muslims, in this case, are predisposed to violence based on what is contained in the Quran and the Hadith. And if you look at this from that perspective, it's insult the Prophet Muhammad, die. That's their stance. But again, I'm looking at this not from an anti-Muslim or a pro-free speech perspective. Although, as I said, I fall squarely into free speech. I'm looking at this as being used for a much larger objective.
Well, I heard when the last event and shootings happened that somebody made the comment that, well, what if this was used to draw out some type of extremist element that they wanted, which was a good point.
Well, that's one way.
I guess it's a good way of looking at it after the fact, Monday morning quarterbacking it, but I don't think that was the intention of
I don't. Knowing the principles involved, no, I don't know.
Could people be doing this to see? I mean, obviously there has been one of these similar events so far, and violence has broken out, and they vowed to commit violence if there was another one, and even go after the person who set up the first one.
Right.
Now there's another one being thrown. Does anybody expect anything different? I mean, really?
Well, and that
not
speaks
that it's
to
wrong. I mean, not that
right.
What they're doing is wrong, the freedom of speech thing, but can anybody expect anything different to happen?
Well, that's a good point. Which brings me to again my point. I don't think people are thinking big enough when they're looking at these events. How are they funded? Who's doing this? The motivation behind it. Free speech, of course, but could this be used against us? Don't forget what was reported years ago we will use your democratic laws to invade you and religious laws to overtake you, basically. And could this be just that happening in real time? Think bigger than what we see. That's my. I would urge everyone to think on a bigger scale, because we're being gamed at multiple levels.
Yep, absolutely. Let's go back to the phones. Area code 440. You're up next. We're coming to you now. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good. What's up?
Well, yeah, I listened to the show last night, and it's pretty scary, what they talked about, and thought about, leaving the country and this and that. It would be impossible for me. I have too much family around. I can't leave them. I don't fear for myself. I fear for them. I mean, how do you guys feel about that? It's just, it seems like it's hopeless to try to go somewhere else.
Well, I'll tell you, for me, I have not had any urge or been called to leave or had even really a thought. I mean, people talk to me about it, but this is my home. My family is here, and if I wanted to leave, I don't have the means anyway. I mean, if I wanted to, I'm sure I could, do something where I could get out of here. But personally, I have not had a call to leave. Now, when we have to understand the difference from fleeing Babylon, that you're not partakers of her sins, meaning fleeing the delicacies of Babylon's or the temptation and different behaviors that lead to sin. Could be, TV, entertainment, a whole bunch of things. So there's a spiritual fleeing, and then there's a physical fleeing.
And if I can chime in here, I've personally, all I want to do is I want to be obedient, and I want to, and I don't have any urge. I'm not being goaded.
You just moved. Of course you don't want to do that.
Well, that was the other thing, too. I mean, it took a lot of prayer, to move, not just my home in one move, but the studio and offices in another move. It took a lot of prayer. Or, am I being obedient? Am I being a good steward? Are we being good stewards with the assets we have? But the bottom line, with respect to fleeing Babylon, the spiritual, what I heard in my spirit is, you've got a job to do, meaning me. I've got a job to do, and it's right here, right. And you do your job, and you just do your job until I tell you to stop. That was my message. So everyone's message is going to be different, I think.
Right. Do you ever sit around and like pinch yourself and you go, is this really going on? Is this really this Jade Helm stuff? Is this really happening? And I have a retail store, and I have customers coming in that I know are conservative Christians. And everyone that's come in, we talk about what's going on, and I say, well, do you know it's Jade Helm? None of them know what Jade Helm is. And I try to, I explain it to them, and I says, you need to look it up. You don't just take me for a word for it, because it's out there. It's going to happen. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll stop because a lot of people know about it, but it's real, and it's pretty frightening that we have American forces willing to do these kind of maneuvers and whatever, these operations or whatever we're going to do at these late hours in the night. And for some reason, for the past couple of years, I can't sleep. I stay up to maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I wonder if that's happening because I'm supposed to be awake. I'm supposed to watch this stuff happen, and if it happens, maybe I'm supposed to do something about it. But I don't know. There's just some thoughts, and then the lady that talked about that Wolfgang guy, he's going to have. I heard on InfoWars, he's on June 3rd. They're having another I don't know, subpoena. I don't know what it's called, where you got people, to come in, and the police chief and all this other stuff, and they're gonna do another interview. And he caught him in a few lies already. There were supposed to be timestamps on some of the police cruisers, whatever, that were there on the scene, and for some reason they were blocked out, or they weren't given the right ones, and they admitted that they were on there and that it's not on there. So there's a bunch of stuff that's very suspicious what's going on there, and that's maybe just something to take a look at too. But he thinks there's a big story there that's going to be exposed.
You know, we're going to be following this up, and we are. Thank you for that information. This, you know, it's interesting because a lot of people view this as a very touchy subject, and any time there's deaths of murders of children, alleged, murders of children, it becomes a very just a very touchy subject with people.
Right.
Now
there was one.
Go ahead.
And there was one more thing after you get your thought in.
Well, no, I just want to say we don't run from touchy subjects at all. You know, with all due respect. I mean, we've worked, homicide cases and cases where children have been either murdered or have died because of accidents or whatever. We understand the emotion behind it, but the search for the truth and exposure of the truth it does trump, unfortunately, or regardless, it trumps emotion. Okay, the truth trumps emotion in all cases. So, go ahead and.
Yeah, and then the thing is, we know that the NSA is listening on this call, and whatever, and it's like I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there that would like to give information, but they know it's going to come back to them. And there was something with this Jade Helm. I know a ranger who will not speak, of course, on any device, will not email, won't talk. The only time, he'll come up and say anything is if it's in person to person. And this person's coming up again, and there was hints about this information I'd like to get. And he doesn't work, for, he's not, in service right now. He works for independent contractors. So, and I don't know if there's information there that I can get, whatever, and then maybe relay to you. Maybe I have to do it on a different phone that wouldn't be connected back to me. I don't know. I mean, this is ridiculous that we have to worry about, saying something and some repercussions come back to you.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous indeed. And at this point, I don't. Privacy is important, obviously, and it's your right to privacy is sacrosanct. However, I believe personally our privacy has already been compromised to such an extent it doesn't matter at this point unless you've got some Hastings level, Breitbart level intelligence that by exposure would make a huge difference. I think just doing it normally would be fine.
Right.
Right. So.
Yeah, because I talked to him, whatever, and he says, and these guys, they talk to each other, and he knows what's going on. I mean, I asked him if he's prepping. He preps. He's got, 25 pounds of rice stored away, and the amount of ammunition this guy has stored away is incredible. And I go, what would you need that for? He says, you never know.
Well, it's true.
And it's, and it's reality. And it's like I said, I pinch whatever. When I pinch myself, say, is this really happening? Is this really going on? Just like this lady with the chickens and stuff. This stuff, is real and it's happening. And I believe her that they're trying to get rid of another food source. It's.
I do too.
I don't know.
You make a good point because I have to remind myself too. It's easy as you're walking out. Like when I walk my dog, or if you think about this and you think about the gravity of what we're talking about, and then you look at people who, like you mentioned, have no idea what Jade Helm is. So far removed from any current events. It's the disconnect is so huge here. Yeah. Never I've never seen a time like this.
But I think, when the flashpoint happens, you're going to see a lot of good people come out. I mean, because there's a lot of people in this country that they're not on board, but they're close. And then, they instinctively know something's happening, but maybe they just don't want to know the rest of the story. And there's people like me, I want to know the rest of the story, and I search and I hear, and I'm glad I got a hold of you guys. I don't know, it's been about 2-3 months. It's like, don't take this the wrong way, but it's like you guys are like Christian crack. I just can't get enough. I mean, because I need to know.
Well, thank you for that characterization. No, I mean, I get it. And that's the way we feel. We need to know too, and whatever we find out, we share. And the more people that we can expose the truth to, the better off we all are. And that's kind of how I feel. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
all right.
God bless you guys. And
God bless you. Thank you. Thanks for the call.
All right. Excellent call. Moving right along here, we're going to go to 770. 770. Thanks for holding. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege to talk to you gentlemen tonight. I'm a first-time caller.
Well, thanks. And it's a privilege to be talked to. So what's on your mind?
Well, I'm relatively also new. I guess it's been, a couple of years that we've found out about you. I found out, started listening to you through YouTube, through looking at some stuff with Chuck Missler, and then I ran across you guys, and then started listening to you on the radio, and then that drug me into things like Steve Quayle and Stan Deyo and all those the neat guys that you have on your show and stuff, and it's been real refreshing for me. I've been in the church my whole life, and it has been a continual degradation of what Scripture says in terms of the separation between the real church and the institutional church, and I think that's where a lot of the disconnect comes in with so many Christians that are now beginning to wake up, because it seems like that the Christians in the United States, the evangelical church, says God belongs to us instead of us saying, no, we belong to God. And so because of that, there's dissatisfaction, people having a hard time finding a church that want a quote-unquote real church. And then you ask for definitions, they have a hard time defining it, instead of looking at something like Acts 2, where there's the marks of the church that are there. And it's just going to be very interesting to see how that continues to solidify in the United States. I listened to the program last night, and one of the things that was really cool to me, again, was the scripture base of recognizing the United States as Babylon. And I was taught that as a child, which is really kind of interesting. And the same stuff with Genesis 6 and all of those things. I don't think that's very usual with a lot of Christians. So anyway, let me. I need to ask something real quick, so I won't take up a lot of your time. What do you think? And I don't think I've heard any of your folks or things that I've been looking at about the reason for the logistics of where Jade Helm is coalescing. Why do you think that part of the country is where they're all going?
No, that's a great question. Why there? Okay, we've asked ourselves that. We've talked to Dave Hodges, we've talked to others, including some people associated with Alex Jones, InfoWars. We've talked to some, of course, Steve Quayle and Greg Evenson, others. I could name a lot of people. Everyone has a slightly different idea as to why geographically there. Okay. Why not, for example, up in the Northeast, New England states? Why there? I'm not sure I can answer that for you, to be honest with any degree of authenticity or any degree of expertise. I'm not sure I can answer that for you.
Yeah, the only thing, Steve Quayle talks about connecting the dots and stuff. And it's just interesting to me that you've got this information about this comet or this asteroid or something that's supposed to hit off of Costa Rica sometime in September, and it's supposed to sink Florida and the East Coast. And it would make sense if there's any validity to that. and they've been watching for it supposedly since the 80s or earlier than that they would set up base there and then stretched out from there after all of the mayhem hit. So I just was wondering what you thought about that. I thought it was pretty interesting.
I'm not sure. Out of all the reasons, the potential reasons for that particular part of the country, I would rank that as perhaps one of the lower, way down low. I'm not going to I certainly wouldn't dismiss anything. However, to me, and Joe, I don't know how you feel about it, but I would rank that down there kind of low in terms of reasons for that area. I believe, on the other hand, well, if I was to take a guess, and I'll just toss this out, geographically speaking, the proximity to the border has more to do with the border with Mexico, has more to do with what's going on than anything else. That's just my view, okay? And I know that kind of sounds like a wimpy answer, but that's being as broad as possible with trying to maintain some accuracy.
Yeah, they're pre-staging, obviously, and that's just an awful lot of stuff to be over there just for just a quote-unquote little exercise kind of thing, So, but anyway, thank you a lot. I appreciate it for the opportunity. I also wanted to let Joe know that my wife thinks that he's adorable, and so
does she want to adopt him?
We have enough.
We have enough. I've got a grandchild between us right now listening. So good Lord bless you guys, and I'm thankful of all of that. And one of these days, if the Lord takes us out or not, that we'll be together anyway. That's the neat thing, and I'm thankful for your faithfulness and your courage and the stuff that you're putting up with, because I've been a pastor and I know what you're dealing with, and so from the evil one, and that he's becoming more and more emboldened, and we'll just pray more and more protection and all those neat stuff for you guys.
Well, thank you, sir, and thank you for your prayers, and thank you, ma'am, as well, for listening and being part of our family. God bless you both. Thank you so very much for the call too. Thank you.
All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
All right.
God bless you, too.
Well, see, no one, it's all right. I'll keep you around.
All right. We're going to go to 602 area code next. 602. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Hey, Joe. It's Mary from Phoenix.
Hey, Mary. Good to hear from you.
How are you guys doing? Hi, Doug.
Hi, Mary.
I haven't called in a while, but I wanted to ask everybody there to cover Phoenix with prayer right away. It's palpable here, the anger and the frustration. I'm about 6 miles away from there is where I live, and you've got these different groups. There are some bikers that are going to come in armed to protect the anti-Islam people. And the temperatures here are going to be in the hundreds this weekend, so that alone is a factor that I'm sure will have an impact on tempers, and it's just very palpable, the tension here. And
you're about 6 miles away. Anything going on, local news on your end that we should know about? I mean, we're plugged into numerous Twitter feeds here, but anything that you could tell us from a local news angle?
I'm just watching the live feed that somebody, I think Wedge, had posted in the chat. I don't watch the news. I don't even have a TV, but on my Facebook feed, there's been nothing. I mean, I was shocked. They had the newscast at 5, and nothing has come through regarding this. It's like they're just avoiding it altogether, and I don't know. I think it can get very ugly very fast. And like I said, this is our first really hot weekend with the temperatures up there, and people are already moody enough as it is, with that factor.
Could you see this, even though this event is only tonight, could you see this somehow spilling over into the weekend?
that's a possibility. We have Comic-Con going on here this weekend, too, so there's going to be another large crowd. And I think it's also in the downtown area. All this is kind of centralized near the main downtown area.
Boy, talk about two polar opposite events.
Yeah, they are. They are. But, I mean, you got a lot of crowds walking around and with different signs and stuff. But who knows? I mean, I could see, people trying to get others to join in, and who knows. But it just...
You know what? I believe that there's something more to this. The objective, the agenda, is much bigger.
I agree with you, Doug. There, definitely.
Yeah, and the palpable, the tension that you feel down there, and we should, you know what? And I'm glad you brought this up. I mean, everyone listening, even if it's by archive, it doesn't matter. Let's cover Phoenix with prayer of protection, the hedge of protection. And certainly, that's, we need to do that. So, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's not where I want to be living right now, but it's kind of where the Lord has me at the moment. So, it's going to be an interesting weekend. I'm just going to hang out at home in the air conditioning.
There you go.
Away from all of this, and pray.
We will be praying for your safety, the safety of your family, your loved ones, your neighbors, and the entirety of Phoenix. And that's all we can do at this point. And certainly we will. And I'll mention this while you're on the air. Joe and I will take to the airwaves at any time during this weekend if anything does break in any realm. Now, what happened in Garland, okay, that's. But if something on a larger scale does happen, we will be broadcasting live during the weekend to bring people up to date. But thank you.
Definitely. Thank you for that. My son works at a hospital ER too, so they're all on standby for anything that could come in. So it's just it's all around. I mean, I'm near ASU's campus. There's still a lot of kids here, even though they graduated. They're always hanging around downtown looking for stuff to do and, get involved in. So it's just real tense here. And I've lived here for 20 years now, and I've not felt it this tense before. So, I mean, we've had Super Bowls and, stuff like that. I've not felt a tension like this before.
Well,
and
we should pay attention to that. I mean, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah.
I just want to ask, was there a lot of media hype in your local area about this event beforehand, last few days, radio, billboards, anything you might have saw or heard?
Nothing that I've heard or seen. I don't have a car, so I take the bus everywhere. And I've seen no billboards, no signs posted along the routes I take. I've gone around the ASU campus before. There's nothing posted down there, which is usually where they recruit a lot of these kids, these young, impressionable minds. That's the first place they go to get them involved, And I haven't seen anything. I didn't even know about it until I heard you guys talking about it, and I started looking it up on Google and Drudge, and there it was. So,
well, ABC 15 right now in your area, ABC 15 Arizona, is showing police standing between protesters at the Phoenix Mosque, and it looks, I've got to tell you, what you're feeling there certainly is reflected in the images that we're seeing right now here on our monitors at the studios. So,
I'm watching Fox 10, which I think, like I said, Wedge posted that in chat, and it's been gathering in about an hour. It looks like it's doubled or even tripled in size.
Wow.
So
well,
I see the police now standing between the two groups, and the bikers I don't think are here yet. I don't know where they're going to come from or where they're going to go. Third Element involved in all of this, and they're going to be armed. So. Channel 12 or Fox 10 just closed down their chat because of the hateful comments, on both sides, and they've not done that before. Usually when there's events, they leave their chat open, but they've warned people like 3 times, and they finally said, we're closing down chat because it's getting out of hand.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting. Well, thank you for that update. You know, if you experience anything or if you have any first-hand information, can you, and we're not asking you to do our work for us, but certainly we'll, I think we've got your number, right?
Yeah.
If you call us back, or if anything does happen that needs to be reported, feel free to call us back, and we'll give you priority. We'll put you right in the front of the line and get you right on the air.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and the prayers, and you, and especially Joe, for leading me so strongly to a closer relationship with Jesus Christ, because I have that now stronger than ever before. And like I said, I feel safe where I am, even though this is going on. And I know the Father is in charge of what's going on, and He sees it all, and what's going to happen is whatever He's going to allow to happen for His purposes. And
Amen.
I can accept that. And know that I will be safe. Yeah, Joe, I really appreciate it, because you really worked with me on that, and you made a huge difference in my life with that.
Well, I'm glad you kept praying and reading the Bible, and we don't have to get too specific or personal, but Mary had a lot of issues and family problems going on, so to hear that you're in a better place, that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, the closer I got to Christ, the more those issues have seemed to have dissolved. And they just kind of went away. So, it's just like in the Bible. I don't know the verses yet, but, it's like stay close to the Lord, and the devil will resist evil, and the devil will flee from you. And,
yeah.
My family's still in San Diego. I'm still here alone with just my kids, but, I'm a lot more secure in my faith. And like I said, I take the bus or light rail everywhere, and I've never felt so safe. It's like He's right there by my side at all times. And I'm street smart. I mean, I stay alert and do the obvious things that on my part I'm supposed to do. But I also have faith. I know that He's right there with me the whole time. So thank you both for that and for your show, because that's something that has really impacted my life in a positive way.
Fantastic.
That's great to hear.
God bless you, Mary. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
And it's good. It's a good report on my son. I appreciate that, and that makes me proud.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and so are you, Doug. And you guys, you're awesome. Just keep up the good work, and know that I'm praying for you both as well.
All right. Well, God bless you. Thank you so much.
Keep up the good work too.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. God bless
Thanks.
you guys. Take care.
God bless you too.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Joe, as Mary was talking there, and Steve, oftentimes when I have conversations with Steve Quayle or Pastor Langford especially, Pastor Langford will say something like, okay, in the Bible, he'll rattle off a verse, and he'll say, you know what 2 Corinthians whatever says, and he probably hears me doing this, right, rattling the pages, going through, because I have a Bible. I'm like, no, I don't know.
I got to teach you, Dad. I'm going to put the e-sword on your computer so you can do it in the.
I like to hold the book itself. But anyway, I've got. I'll admit, I don't know the chapter and verses of the Bible. So, I'm sure Pastor Langford has a chuckle or two when he hears the pages just flipping like a cartoon when he's talking to me, and I'm thinking, okay, I got to follow him. But no, I mean, it's our instruction manual. It's our guidebook.
Absolutely. Let's move on to another caller. Area code 856. You're up next. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Hey.
Hi, it's Sheila.
Hey, Sheila.
Hi. Yes, Joe, you've grown a lot. I listen to you every night, and you've grown a lot. I learn a lot from you, son. So you did a good job, Dad.
Well, thanks. Well, I didn't do that. I've got really no influence on that. Joe.
Oh, yes, you do. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I'm too old. Fox News had that Marine on their program today. They showed him 3 different times, and he was saying that he just wanted people to come down there, that he wanted to do this cartoon and whatnot. I question the timing on that. He has a right to his free speech and whatever they're doing, but I question that timing. Why is it going on now? And same thing with the other one. But
right.
That's all part of what's going on, everything's coming apart.
Well,
I think of one thing, Doug and Joe here, is Britain. They've gotten so many Muslims in their country now that they're overtaking the country, and they want their laws in place, and I think a lot of that has got something to do with the mindset here right now with the Muslims. You know what I mean?
I do, yes. Now, I can see this being set up to intentionally backfire against the proponents of free speech. Okay?
Yep.
That's kind of where I'm coming from on this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We have a very cunning enemy, a very savvy enemy that will use events like this against the proponents of free speech and the Christians especially. That's what concerns me about this. Period.
Well, we have to put on the full armor of God. There ain't nobody out there going to shut me up.
Right. Nor me.
No.
Nor should they.
I had a conversation here just last week with a friend of mine, and I was talking about what's going on here in this country with the Christians. You can see where they're taking us. And I said that I had wanted to get a T-shirt with John 14:6 on it, which is, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no man can come into the Father except through me. And she was offended by that.
Offended by that?
Yes, she was offended by it. Yes, she was very offended by it. It was a side of her that I hadn't seen before, and I could see, okay, we got a situation here, and she right away went into this thing with the homosexuals. So whether she was testing me there or not, I don't know. But I came back at her and I said, Romans 1:29 says, Jesus said, no man shall lie with another man. Very simple. Can't get any plainer than that. And she says, well, you're being judgmental. No, I'm repeating what Christ said. No man shall lie with another man. It's right here in the book. You want to read it? Are you saying Jesus is judgmental? Because I'm repeating what he said.
Well, I think we have a right and not just a right but a duty to be judgmental. No, I say that with love. Well, right. I mean, like Pastor Langford often says, he makes judgments every day. We all make judgments, and I get that, and I think we should be judgmental. But you're right, Joe, in a discerning way. Okay.
Well, the thing is that is one, I call that verse the heartbeat of the Bible, next to John 3:16.
Right.
And people that aren't Christians find that verse offensive because they believe there are other ways to heaven. That's why that verse is disliked. I'm getting the T-shirt, and I'm going to wear it.
Well,
and if people are going to say something to me, help yourself.
I mean, I certainly would. Yeah, and I couldn't argue with that. I mean, there's only one way to heaven, and anyone who denies that, Christian or not, or especially Christian, man, there's we got some problems here because of the
if they don't know about the verse, they're reading a Bible that doesn't have that verse in it.
Or yeah.
Out there. People have to be very, very careful right now what kind of Bible that they're buying. The only one I'll buy is Zondervan.
Well, I'm sorry. You cut out there for a second.
The NIV?
I got the NIV. I got the New King James Version. I've got the American Standard, and they all say the same thing.
Well, I would just advise you to do some research into Zondervan Publishing.
Okay.
And to who those owners are.
Well, yeah, and the New King James, we've gone over this. Sheila, we've gone over the New King James version of the Bible, having the triqueta the symbol in there. Aside from that, the alterations made, the redactions made out of the New King James now are disconcerting to me.
And Zondervan Publishing also sells the Satanic Bible.
Yes.
Zondervan?
Zondervan, yeah. Zondervan, yeah. And it was partly owned by Rupert Murdoch of Fox News.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a big history there.
I did not know that. They make a Satanic Bible. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I would just advise you to do a little bit of research. Should not be hard to find.
I'd be afraid to. I'll keep my temper straight.
Well, we should do a program. In fact, I know just the person to have on to talk about the difference in the Bibles and the current agenda behind the different translations. And look, I understand. Unless you get back into the early versions, I understand about the translations. I understand all that, but we need to be very discerning as to what we read. But anyway.
John 14:6 is the truth.
There it is. That's right.
That is.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Sheila, God bless you. Thank you so much. Great to hear from you, and you hang in there and keep in touch. We'll appreciate the call. God bless.
Talk to you. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Our connection, Joe, is getting a little rocky there. I'm not sure what happened. Our levels are fine. I'm not sure if it was on her end or our end, but
we do have just a few minutes before the break. One story I wanted to touch on. I don't know if I got a chance to. No, we didn't talk about the anthrax.
Oh,
what happened with the anthrax? Anthrax sent by Pentagon to U.S. Air Force Base in South Korea. 22 people possibly exposed.
This follows the anthrax. The other anthrax issue that we talked about earlier in the week, where 22 labs, or I'm sorry,
this is part of the same anthrax where the U.S. I don't know if it was the military or what branch of government did this, but they sent 9 different labs anthrax, strains of anthrax. Well, after the Pentagon admitted that an Army laboratory accidentally distributed live samples of anthrax, a U.S. Air Force base in South Korea says now 22 of its personnel may have been exposed. 22 personnel may have been exposed during the training event, and all personnel were provided appropriate medical precautionary measures to include examinations, antibiotics, and in some instances, vaccinations. A statement from Ozon Air Base said none of the personnel has shown any sign of possible exposure. That was just a quick update on that. But the anthrax is an interesting, comes at a time when the Patriot Act is I just find that timing to be suspect.
Yeah, and I think we have to
sending it to the legislators, but
news crew. But no, I think we have to take a look at everything that's happening right now in the context of the sunsetting of certain provisions of the Patriot Act, and I think that nothing is happening by accident right now, or I don't believe that anything is accidental right at the moment. I really don't. There's sentiment that needs to be created to to make sure that the portions of the Patriot Act are kept alive and kept in force, and I think that regardless, I think that's going to happen. It may not happen. It may happen in a clumsy manner. I'll just put it that way. You might see the sun setting on the legislation. However, it'll be maintained or revamped, revised through other means. So just keep your eyes on that, because once the government has power, they're not going to give it up.
No.
They'll find other ways to maintain it.
Absolutely right. With that, we are going to take our top of the hour break. Folks, you're listening to the Hagmann Hagmann Report. We're going to come back with more news and your phone calls for our final hour on this Friday, May 29th, 2015. Stay with us.
Our third and final hour on this, the 29th day of May 2015. I'm Doug Hagmann in studio with Joe Hagmann together. As you know, we are the Hagmann Hagmann Report, America's premier father-son investigative reporting team. This weekend, I'm going to be putting up photographs. I have not taken them yet, but I'm going to be putting up photographs on our website of our new studio layout, at least the office portion, and some of the studio anyway. We have some new equipment that we're going to be using for video. I'm very excited about that. Also, that will increase our YouTube presence. We will be doing a lot more video reporting. And just really excited about this. So this is the station, this is the network, if you will, that you're building. I don't want to sound like other talk show hosts, but it's very true in all respects. Your support, your prayers, your guidance, in many cases, the information you've sent, the tips you've given, the love, just the family arrangement we have. It's just second to none, so we really love that. Don't forget, folks, Steve Quayle and yours truly, John B. Wells, episode 300. I think that's playing tonight. And Sheila Zielinski, Joe and I were on her program. That'll be playing here, I think, perhaps tonight or tomorrow. I'm not sure when.
I think tonight.
Okay. So we're like in three places at one time. You try that. All right. And Sunday I'll be on with Dave Hodges, and then Monday Dave Hodges will be on our program. Although it sounds redundant, we've got multiple issues to cover, and it's going to be a massively important show on Monday night. I can tell you that right out of the gate.
So if you can catch Dave Hodges' Common Sense show on Sunday night, you can probably hear part one of what is going to be part two here on Monday.
Well, and we've talked about this privately, but I'm going to tell you, the catch Monday night. Well, catch them both, but catch Monday night because Dave Hodges is going to be unplugged on Monday. I can guarantee you. Some of the things that he's uncovered, props to him, and kudos to him. He's off air. I mean, you talk about a guy that has laser-like focus in his investigative abilities. And, as long as I'm talking about Dave Hodges as well, Nathan Leal is another man. I'm going to tell you, I am so impressed by the investigative abilities and assessments Nathan Leal has made and is making. And this is about Jade Helm and the vetting of his sources and how he does things. Wow, just a great talent. And we know we've got a lot of talent here and a lot of talent within the listeners. So let's get back to the listeners and the callers, Joe.
All right, area code 616. We're coming to you now. You're live on the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Doug and Joe, how are you?
Great.
Fantastic.
Good. Hey, I just want to say thank you for everything that you do. I appreciate that. And trying to speaker here so you can hear me better. Is that better?
Yeah, actually it is. It's not as canny, not as tinny. Yep.
There you go. Candy's bad. Hey, the Babylon you were talking about yesterday, the physical and the spiritual, kind of like what Joe was just talking about earlier.
Right.
And, trying to stay out of the spiritual Babylon, but because we have to go with the wheats and tares, we gotta kind of stay out of the spiritual and live with the physical, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Joe did say something that kind of caught me a little bit.
What was that?
The spiritual. There's a lot of focus on the physical, on the mystery Babylon, daughter Babylon, the horror Babylon, the city of Babylon, and et cetera, but the spiritual Babylon, the spirit of Babylon. I mean, right. Certainly, who would argue that America is not embracing the spirit of Babylon? I don't care what you'd call it.
Yeah.
I mean, the spirit of Babylon is alive and flourishing here in the United States, and throughout the West, but especially here in the United States. So, yeah. But last night's program was very interesting, and for those. Yeah, and it's a critical issue, I think. But you know what? In a larger sense, and I don't think anyone's going to run away from what's coming. I don't think you're going to be able to hide from what's coming. I don't think you might buy some time. That's number one, and number two, I think if you listen, you got to listen. You have to pray, and you got to listen. But I think you'll be told. I think in your heart of hearts and your soul, I think you'll be instructed as to what you need to do, where you need to be. And if you listen, then you'll be in the right place.
Yep, there you go. I don't plan on leaving. I'm not packing up and going anywhere, so I'll be right here doing whatever God tells me to do.
There you go. That's right, man. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, and think about this. We're all calling from different parts of the country, even the world. At some point in time, there may be a time, depending on how fast, how rapid events are, that we might all be together or meet one another, or a large portion of us meet each other, and be fighting alongside one another. Now that could be metaphorically or practically. I mean, in reality, it's who knows? Only God knows.
And there's these amazing times when God does something for you, and all of a sudden you realize it, and you look back on the past, and you're thinking to yourself, how did this point come to me when I've never seen it coming, but I know it's the hand of God? And so many things like that are going to come up in the future. Things are going to hit you so fast and so hard.
That's right.
Just amazed at what's going to happen.
Caller, I was thinking, and I was kind of made a joke yesterday with Steve. He gets his messages, I guess, in the shower, and I get mine infrequently. But certainly when I'm by myself or with my dog. And I was thinking here the other day when I was walking alone early, it was before sunrise, and I had my dog with me. I was thinking, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, if somebody would have told me that I'd be right here sitting in this chair right now doing what I'm doing, I wouldn't have believed them. No, so only I guess I said that to say this. Only God. I mean, that's the hand of God, and there's no other explanation for it. So.
Exactly. Praise Jesus.
Amen.
All right.
All right, brother.
All right, thank you. Keep doing hard work.
Okay, we'll do.
Okay.
God bless.
Have a good night. Thanks for the call.
Bye.
All right. Up next, 317. 317, we're coming to you. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Good evening, Doug and Joe. Thanks for all you do. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
And I'm especially thankful for your YouTube and your past shows there on your website. Unfortunately, my schedule doesn't allow me to sit down with you every night at 8, but if I'm up later, I go right back to the YouTube or to the past shows and hear what I missed out on. So thank you for that.
Cool.
The reason I wanted to call tonight was two things. I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate listening to the testimony of our brothers and sisters as they walk out their life in Christ. It's very encouraging to hear what they're doing, but also it's good to know how to pray for them. So I really appreciate that aspect about your show. And then you had a previous caller about an hour ago who said that, he was awake at night and he wasn't quite sure why he was. I would say this to him and to anybody else. If you're up in the middle of the night, God's got an assignment for you. So ask him if he wants you to pray. If you get a yes on that, ask him what to pray about, and then ask him for a scripture. Join those of us who are intercessors who are up in the middle of the night praying for people. We would love to have some more people join us. You can do it in your bed, and I promise you, if it's a short assignment, you'll pray, be done with it, and you'll go right back to sleep, and you won't miss out. You won't feel tired the next day. So if you're up in the middle of the night, ask God if he wants you to pray.
How do you, okay, so if you don't mind me asking, when you say you're an intercessor, I guess my question would be, and I'm not even sure how to phrase it, but how do you receive your assignments, or how do you, for example, how do you know what to, who or what to pray for?
I think most people miss out when they have those fleeting thoughts about others and they don't take the next step with that. And usually if God wakes me up, I'm thinking about someone or I'm thinking about a situation. And so as far as I'm concerned, after years of experience, that's a pretty good clue that God wants me to pray about something. So I ask him the same question, how do you want me to pray? Because, boy, is it a waste of time praying against what God wants done. And then I ask him to confirm it with a scripture. His word proves out everything, keeps us on that straight and narrow track. And it's so good of him to let us be a part of the process that I want to be doing the right thing. So asking for a scripture will help in knowing how to pray. And then just pray the scripture. Insert your name, insert the other people, insert the situation. With the scripture, pray God's word. It's very effective and it's very powerful.
Wow. Thank you for how articulate. Thank you for being so articulate in explaining that to me. Thank you for that.
Well, you're quite welcome. Thanks for all you do, and I'll let you go so others can talk. Good night.
All right. Good night. Thank you. You know, Joe, intercessors, perhaps the most understated of the force or the what a formidable force they create.
You have people, these intercessors are up praying for so many people, so many of us, from the listeners to our guests to, us personally, and before events, before shows. It's just amazing the time these people put in and the dedication that they have.
The power of prayer is underappreciated. The power of prayer, boy, and I could never rationalize or understand the rationale behind someone being an atheist or even an agnostic. Now, I sort of understand. I sort of understand it in a twisted, backhanded sort of way. I think I just contradicted myself, but I guess it's hard for me to imagine someone who does not believe in a God. I
feel the same way. It was ingrained in you. It was, you grew up with parents who believed in God, and you were taught the Bible. You were taught about Jesus, and
but wouldn't you? Absent of that, if you grew up in in a solitary atmosphere, regardless of that, inherently, wouldn't there? I mean, the default position, I believe, of any human being would be to acknowledge a divine creator. That's just to think contrary to that. To me, would oh man, I don't.
Well, it's hard to understand because you're on the other side. Just like it's hard for people who don't believe in God to understand what it is about the Bible and the Lord that.
But there's evidence.
People.
See, I mean, if you look
it's so cloudy now. I mean, even the churches don't even promote the God of the Bible. So,
well, yeah, I mean, remove the churches from it. If you've got a Bible, I mean,
we're also in times unlike any other.
No, that's true.
Where we know there's an apostasy taking place. We know that Satan is working overtime because his time is short, and we know that things are changing, and the Lord's setting people up on both sides of the fence for His purposes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, folks, if you don't see that coming, if you don't see that ultimate clash, and regular listeners know, I remember back in I think it was 2005 or 2004, being on a Canadian television station. They came to this. At that time, I had an office in my home, and they came there, and it was whatever the equivalent of 60 minutes would be. They spent 7-8 hours in my home, and I remember in the office it got up to 100 degrees because of the lights. I mean, it was just horrible. But the one thing I remember from that interview was what aired, and I think I still have the footage around here in a VHS tape or maybe even a DVD. The end that was, I said, this is a clash, meaning the post 9/11, the war scenario. This is a clash of religion. I mean, a clash of good versus evil is what I said, and it was a religious war. But those weren't my exact words, but the mocking that I received from that was just so incredible. Now, I'm certainly glad I said that. And by the way, ABC 15 out of Phoenix is reporting that, boy, there are a lot of well-armed people right now lining up at the...
That's good. My concern is for the following days, Monday, Tuesday. Because these people aren't going to come out when they have people who are armed ready to stand against them. That's not how they operate.
But the event will be over.
Right. But you can see where they can inflict the most damage, not at this event, I don't think. They probably know that. I mean, think about some kind of innocent, defenseless, whatever it is, hospital, school, all the things we've heard that ISIS wants to attack here in America.
That's true. Good point.
Or they saw what happened last time. Why not regroup and rethink this? That's what bothers me is when this whole thing's said and done, it could be 2 days later, it could be a week later. Then the retaliation comes and the people aren't prepared.
It's good, very good point that you make, and we're going to keep Phoenix in our prayers and the people there in our prayers. And again, I would urge everyone to think bigger when it comes to this. Look at all sides on this. And what is the primary objective here? What will be the end result? Will it be some sort of legislation, in quotation marks there, to restrict even further speech, reclassify something like this as hate speech? Will that be the result? Is that the intent? Regardless, think bigger.
All right, let's go to area code 309. 309, you're up next. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Hi, this is Anthony from Illinois.
Hello,
Hi, Anthony.
Great to hear you guys. Love all that you do.
Thanks.
I have a question and I have a comment. the young lady that called about the chickens, most of them are being processed and being sent to the bunkers. And if you look past that and just prior to it, all the organic grain and feed that goes to the birds went rather quickly, and there's a shortage of it. Now, think back to when we had the beef, just prior to the beef going so-called bad, all the grain and everything for them went rather quickly before the beef started to go bad. They did it with the hogs as well, you know. Look at what they do with the feed for the animals before the animals go.
Are you saying that the underground, deep underground military bases are being supplied in this fashion?
Yes, sir.
Very possible.
Huh.
Very plausible, too.
Yeah. Okay, now that's... Now, see, I have to compliment you and our audience. I mean, talk about thinking outside of the box, something that simple. It could very well be that simple. What a way to do it.
I grew up with my grandparents being around, and that was a big deal, listening to the Ag Report every Sunday morning.
Oh.
And that's bright and early Sunday morning.
Oh, yes.
And then we all would go to church. So, you know, and being the oldest grandson, you know, you have a lot of chores you got to get done, taken care of. So you're listening to the radio. So the only thing you're going to get really to listen to.
What time did the farm
I just kept on
report
listening
come on?
to it.
I mean, wasn't it like 5 or 5:30 the farm report came on? The Ag Report. It was,
it'd come on at like 4:30 in the morning. They'd start, but you would have your local one,
right?
And then the next one would be your regional, and then the national.
Yep.
So you're listening to what's going on. If you pay attention to commodities, you really got a better idea of what's going on in not only the food market, but can see how the prices change. And you can see how people change.
Very well said, and very importantly structured comment there. A good assessment. And you know,
thank you.
That goes back to what you said about the possibility about the supply of for the deep underground military bunkers or bases, whatever. It puts a new spin on this. Now I can, all right. Interesting.
They've been hitting at it for at least a good decade. You could see the big surge and how much surplus we'd have, and then all of a sudden, we're short. Where's it all going? And that's one of the biggest things people are not really paying attention to. But it's something, I can see, and I just thought everybody else seen it too.
Well, Anthony, thanks to you, now everyone else has that in their on their radar, and I would say to everyone to definitely consider what Anthony just said here about this. Could this be a possibility? Absolutely. Very good observation.
Well, thank you, and God bless you guys.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
God bless you, too. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
See, it's the perspective. The different... my dad used to tell me, you're never too old to learn, number one. And when I remember my mom, God bless her, when I was young, she used to come up with all sorts of phrases and all sorts of little tidbits of wisdom. I didn't think they were wisdom at the time, being a young know-it-all, snot-nosed know-it-all at the time.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I wonder where I got it from.
Well, I think it's a rite of passage that you've got to go through that phase, but perspective. don't, and speaking of my mother, I just was thinking about her today too, about her interest in the Kennedy assassination, and I just remember her not making me watch, but sitting with her watching the 3-4 days, folks, of footage, live on television, the grainy black and white Oswald being shot, the funeral procession.
Didn't she get you the Warren Report?
Yeah, I say for Christmas, and I believe it was for Christmas. It might have been for my birthday. I wanted the entirety of the Warren Report. Not all, the entire 26 volumes or however, the one they used for the public, the hard copy, and I got that. She gave that to me. I was a pretty weird kid. So, pretty nerdy, I guess.
No, and look where it brought you today.
Yeah.
Let's go back to
look
the phones.
Around.
We're going to go to, I don't know if this is an international caller or just a no caller ID 111. You hear the beep, you're up. Thanks for holding. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Yeah, doing, Doug?
Good evening.
Hey.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. I've been sitting here enjoying listening to your conversations and the call-ins, and
well, it's kind of a relaxed Friday, actually, for all the hard and heavy news and all the things that are popping right now. Let's kind of sit back and as we sip our coffee, just talk about things. What's on your mind?
Well, we're talking about judging people there for a while, and we need to judge ourselves first. And we judge it according to the Word of God. And just because we call ourselves Christians doesn't make us Christians.
That's right.
Matthew 7, 20 to 27 will tell you, a little bit about our relationship to Jesus Christ. And that's what really matters. And do we spend time with Him? Do we know what His Word says? And then when we know what it says, do we obey Him? And do we love one another? Like it says in 1 Corinthians 13, that's the love chapter. And then, pray and fast, for when you pray for someone. And, another conversation was that even the devils believe in God, they just don't obey Him. Do we obey Him? No, we try, I guess, but do we know what the Word says? Because Jesus is the Word, and the Word is made flesh and dwelt among us. So when He went back to be with the Father, even though He's still here, He left the instruction book, and that's one thing that we should know is what His instructions are and how to love one another, how to treat one another, and just how to be a good disciple of the Word.
Amen. You're right.
And then we were talking about different versions of the Bible. There's, I got 1611 King James Version, which is probably the most accurate. I had a sheet one time about all the different versions, and some words are dropped out, some phrases, and some of the Bibles, they even took 1 John 5:7 out of it. And that has to do with the Word, the Spirit, and the water, the blood of Jesus. So they just, some Bibles, if you want to check your Bible, it doesn't have 1 John 5:7. It's very altered.
1 John 5:7. Okay.
1 John 5:7.
Okay.
To do with authority on earth and on heaven.
And it says, for there are three that bear record in heaven, the Father, the Word, and the Holy Ghost, and these three are one.
Yep.
All right. Very good.
There's a lot of Bibles that don't even have it in it. Not even 1 John 5:7. Not even just changing the words, but it's not even there.
How do they? Pardon my ignorance, but how do they fill that space?
They don't print it. It's not there. There's no such thing as 1 John 5:7 in a lot of Bibles.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got several translations and variations of the Bible. I'm going to check after the show. I just wrote this down here. I just wanted to check to see what's what here with the different versions.
Yeah.
All right.
And everything gets back to our relationship. Jesus loves us, and He loves us more than we can even understand. And His main goal was to please the Father, and
yes.
that should be our main goal. To love one another, and to love and to show our love by our obedience.
Yeah, and let me. There's an English Standard Version which says in John 5:7, "For there are three that testify," and that's it.
Yeah, but see that waters the word down.
Yep, very much so.
That
Another one says, "And it is the Spirit that beareth witness, because the Spirit is the truth." So look at how different those are.
Yeah, it's they're modified, but the real meat of it is it's the Father, the Word, and Jesus bear witness. Father, Word, and the Holy Spirit.
Right.
And then if you keep going, there's some more about they bear witness on earth, and they just totally a lot of Catholics' Bibles don't have that in there because they want to have the Pope be the authority on earth, So I don't know if it's just that type of. I was married to a Catholic for a while, so for 24 years. So, but anyhow, I've come across some other. But there's a lot of verses been changed. Some words have been dropped, some added. So you can find a 1611 King James Bible. That's got the most power. There's power in the Word. And if you go to the end of Revelations, anybody who changed one jot or tittle of the Word is the very end of Revelations. Do not change one jot, one dash, or one tittle of the Word of God. You don't change it.
Exactly. And the Hebrew scribes, when they're doing the printing, by hand, if at the very end, I mean, they could do the entire Old Testament, for example, or Torah, and if at the last sentence, last word, they make an error, they have to pitch the whole thing and start over again. I mean, that's how accurate they are. So it's interesting. No mistakes allowed, no changes allowed.
No, and these are intentionally dropped off, and that's where the power is in the Word of God. And speaking the power, speak the Word to a situation. Take a verse. One of the verses where you could move a mountain by prayer. Well, you can move a mountains could be your problems, but to speak the Word to whatever problems you have or a blessing. Blessing and cursing comes out of the same mouth,
Mm-hmm.
So bless those that persecute you. Bless your enemies, and do good that persecute you. You need to always do that. And we're all kind of in a transition together, and we're just drawing near. And now it's getting a little tougher and tougher and tougher, and it's going to be that way for a while until. But He's going to protect you wherever you're at, and we win either way. If we die or if we live, we still win.
That's right. So
Amen.
That's the main thing. And if your time's up, it's up. But don't go stand in the middle of the road or anything. But have a relationship with the Lord and and you'll find it's very rewarding. Not financially, but spiritually, and the way you feel about yourself and the way you feel about others. You know,
well,
crowd.
Yeah,
tell people you love them.
There are no U-Hauls of following hearses. At least I've never seen any. You know, so you know it's you do the right thing, and it's not about money. It's not about possessions. It's not about
status.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
And God is love, and that it says God is love, and He is love.
Yep.
So
very much.
We need to spread that love around to others and tell people we forgive as forgive quickly and to love one another. That's the whole thing. All the commandments could be wrapped up in one, just to love one another.
Mm-hmm.
The first 4 commandments are about relationships to God, and the next 6 are relationship to people. So if you love them, you're not gonna, break any of them.
Right.
So.
All right, brother. Well, thank you so much for.
Stay for tonight. So God bless you all, and keep up the good work.
Thanks, brother. You take care.
Yeah.
God bless you too. Have a good night.
Joe, I'm just following the Phoenix situation. There are how do I explain this? There are Twitter hashtags on Twitter, various hashtags and various topics, and I am just seeing the lines being drawn here, not physical lines of protesters, but the lines being drawn on social networking sites. And I can tell you right now from what I'm seeing, and I'm looking at, I've got 4 screens open right now, or 4 screens, 4 physical screens and multiple screens within those open. And what it looks like here is you've got some apps. There's no question about this. You've got agitators here that have infiltrated the social networking for this Phoenix event. This seemed, and a lot of people are commenting too, this seemed to come out of left field, out of nowhere.
It did.
And however, there appears to be a lot of pre-positioning, pre-planning, and my goodness, this is like watching some sort of a movie here. Bottom line, it looks like this does look like there are paid agitators. I mean, that's the only way I could describe it without getting into a lot of detail. Is I've made some notes from from Ferguson, and I'm looking at some of the people on the social networking sites. I'm seeing some pretty familiar names here. So what I'm seeing, it almost is as if this.
Well, you remember there's people from Sanford, Florida, who ended up in Ferguson.
Right.
Who ended up in St. Louis, the DOJ.
Well, I'd have to say that at this level of, sophistication, there is a certain amount of sophistication to this event, and it looks like it's on both sides of the event, which tells me that this is really a staged event. So I'd be very, I'd cautiously keep my eyes on this. As a matter of fact, following the program tonight, folks, I will be following this and personally and making sure that I'm going to document everything that comes across these screens that would indicate some sort of pre-operational planning, because it does have fingerprints of, it does have certain fingerprints. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Well, let's do this. Let's go back to the phones. We're going to go to area code 580. 580, you're up next. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Is that me again?
Oh,
that's
yeah.
You.
Doug?
Sorry, come to you?
Yeah.
Joe? Listen, last time you had Ted Brower on?
Yep.
It was excellent. Except you forgot to tell him to speak on the kidneys and the prostate.
Oh.
I went down to Dallas yesterday, and my PSA is up to 10.2, and I don't even have a prostate anymore. I had a tumor bigger than my fist growing on my bladder, but my brother's got that stage 3 kidney stuff. And next time you have him on, can you do something about that? Maybe get him to talk a little bit.
Yeah. If you want to, if you want to send me an email, I can. Let me arrange. I mean, I understand your situation, and we need to get this. We need to have Ted address this, and perhaps he can do so directly. If you want to send me an email, I'm going to see if I can enact or have you guys talk directly. I think you need to do that.
That'd be good.
Would you mind? Just go to our contact page and in the subject line, just put very simply Ted and then the word prostate. Okay, Ted and then prostate, and that'll separate it and right away I'll or whatever. Yeah, kidney, Ted, prostate, whatever in the subject line.
I'm computer illiterate, so what?
Well, okay.
What's your email?
If you go to Hagmann and Hagmann.com, okay, click on all you have to do is click on the Contact Us button. That'll bring up a form, and just fill out that form.
And just as an FYI, I took your number down, which if we can't figure it out by email, we can do it by phone.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing the number, Ted.
Yeah, with your permission.
Sure.
Okay. And your first name, sir, again?
Lauren.
Lauren, okay.
Lauren.
Okay, all right. And you got the number, Joe? All right. Yeah, let's see what we can do on this. My apologies. This is something that...
Is he going to be on again?
Oh, sure. He's going to be... He's a regular guest. He's going to be on at least once a month because he's got so much information to share.
Right. I realize that.
And,
is it where... Oh, I see. Contact us.
Right.
It says listen live.
Well, yeah. Just click on the Contact Us. Let me go up here. Yeah. Depending on which browser you use, if you hover over Contact Us, just click on that.
All I got's a little tablet, so my laptop crashed, and I'm computer illiterate, so
all right. Here's what I'll do.
Tough time anyway.
What time zone are you in, sir?
And I'm straight above Dallas.
Okay, so
in Oklahoma.
Central time, then, right? Is that or
yeah?
Okay.
I guess Central.
Okay. What we'll do is, Joe, you've got Lauren's number. We'll just forward it to Ted and have him give you a call, if that's all right.
That would be super.
No, brother, you
just
man.
Anything we can do to help, absolutely.
Yeah. Our prayers are with you and your brother, and
I'm just speechless. That's all. I got the Contact Us part, so.
Well,
I'll do that.
And
you don't have to do that. We'll get your information to Ted. I'll make sure I talk to him tomorrow and pass it along.
Absolutely. We'll get this worked out for you because I know Ted can do wonders. Of course, we're not making any medical claims. Big disclaimer. However,
I understand.
we know you're hurting, and you there's a bad situation here, so let's do what we can to get you taken care of.
Right. Okay.
Right.
I just really appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, we appreciate you and your insight, and we'll keep you in our prayers, and we will talk further.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank
Lord,
you.
God bless
take care.
both of you.
God bless you as well, sir.
Have a good night.
You too. Good night.
Good night.
Right. Joe, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes after you just...
Yeah, I mean, you never know how bad, everybody thinks their situation's terrible till you come across somebody else who's going through something.
All right, you've got that, right? I mean, you've got it, I'll take, okay. All right, let's make sure we get that done.
All right, let's take one more call. Area code 808. You're live on the Hagmann Hagmann Report.
Hey, hello, y'all.
Hey.
It's a quiet guy calling. Just calling. Originally, I called to confirm your research about the translations about Rupert Murdoch, and the King James Version is actually the only version that's not copyrighted.
The original King James.
Correct.
Yeah, right. That's not copyrighted. And Rupert Murdoch, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, all the other versions are copyrighted, and that Rupert Murdoch is the Satanic Bible as well is under his name.
Right. As Joe said, which when Joe first told me that
was a long time ago.
Long time ago. I didn't believe him.
Yeah.
I did not believe him, but. We've got to be very careful because the deception can be very subtle, and it could be very the more subtle, the more dangerous it is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. You can see a freight train coming and hear it coming, but you have a little mini drone the size of an insect that can do the same damage. You don't hear or see that.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. And from that same perspective. Concerning like with Steve Quayle and John Price yesterday. From a point of view of the House of Israel, America is part of the House of Israel. I've done 30 years serious research and of all that stuff, and all the promises to the House of Israel are fulfilled in the British Commonwealth. In America, Ephraim and Manasseh, all the promises from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are fulfilled. I don't know if you studied any of that stuff, but Joe, you're really into that kind of stuff, Joe.
Well, John about that.
In fact, stag.ws is a real good resource from he's a fellow student of Dr. Gene Scott. I was in the front lines of his ministry for years. But anyway, considering that America is part of the House of Israel is an interesting, serious point of view to take regarding all the, the judgments and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead and check out stag.ws. Is a good resource. Jack is a good fellow student of Gene Scott, and and it was great to me. I've been thinking lately. It's in a couple of days it'll be a year ago. I was on my way to meet Yellen Bozeman.
Hey,
wow, that's been a year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Has it been that long?
Yeah. Well, but. At the end of May, beginning of June,
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like it's been 3 months. Sometimes it feels like it's been 3 years.
Oh, man.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? The assembly of the saints and that whole... I'm getting chicken skin right now. Just the memory of it.
Yeah.
Right? There was this moment of getting chicken skin from that memory. That was hardcore.
I don't think that could ever be repeated ever. That was one of the most dramatic, life-altering experiences anyone could have ever had, I think.
I think it can be repeated.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean,
it might not be the same, but the Lord still, He can work, and His Holy Spirit can move.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a reunion. All the body of, like-minded assembly of the saints. Yeah, that was life-changing for me. And I'd like to say aloha to the remnant and to Sharon if she's listening right now, the gal that hitchhiked over there. And God bless y'all.
That's right. And you know, I was thinking the other day. I was thinking about the conference, and I swear that I think we saw a couple of people on a horse and buggy getting there. I mean, Bozeman of all places, not the easiest place to get to. But
no, not at all.
All right. Anyway.
Yeah, transformational. Hey, God bless you guys.
Thank you.
God bless
Thank
you too. You have a good night.
And aloha to you.
Aloha.
All right.
Well, that.
All right. Yeah, Joe, I want to just say, folks, thanks for those of you who held out listening throughout the program here and are still listening. Just want to make an announcement. This has not been etched in stone. However, it appears that Joe and I will be will be speakers in Washington, D.C. on July 6th, okay? Now this is for the Daughters of the American Revolution. I believe Joe and I are speakers on July 6th, this upcoming July 6th. Not etched in stone, but a few more things to verify. But the week-long function in Washington, D.C. in July. It's going to be an interesting, and that'll be televised, and it'll be on multiple cable and radio stations. Pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So.
Well, barring any major emergencies, we'll be back here on Monday. Don't forget my dad on Dave Hodges, the Common Sense Show on Sunday evening, and Dave will be with us Monday evening for, I guess we'll say, part 2. So.
And I'm loaded for bear with Dave, and we both. Joe and I think did a good job with Sheila today on Sheila's program. God bless her, wonderful venue.
Yeah.
And I think we I think I might have had I don't know. I was loaded for bear today too. So God bless you all, and we'll keep our eyes on Phoenix and let you know.
Have a great weekend.
Good night.